All right, so this is the Interdimensional Meditation Report for Thursday, September 4th. So, last night we did another live guided interdimensional meditation. My original thought earlier that day was that we would once again do it to the goddess Sekhmet, which is why that thumbnail was there, which I've since changed. But just before, I would say about a half an hour before the live stream was scheduled, the light beings showed up. Some powerful higher dimensional beings showed up, and they wanted to communicate with me as they do on basically a daily basis. And these beings said that they were going to take me to their world, and they were going to show me some things, and I didn't know what. They were just, there was going to be, I just knew that it was going to be something along those lines. That's all I knew. So I came on, and if you haven't already, you can go on to the live section of the channel. It's been archived, and I have this same thumbnail right there. And you can simply press play and do the meditation. By the way, please put in the comments section what you experienced, what you saw, what you felt. Also, don't forget that we have interdimensional meditation groups, and this is a group where you can come and share your experiences. And the reason for that is because if you're doing these interdimensional meditations, your reality is shifting, and every single person I know of that does this struggles with, how do you put your reality back together? And you might even be wondering if you've lost it, if you're kind of losing touch with reality, because these interdimensional meditations, they are exactly what they sound like. They're very simple, but we are going into different dimensions with our astral body. And our physical body stays here, but our astral body goes into other dimensions. And the result of that is that you become a hybrid, meaning you become multidimensional. And to live in the third dimension and be multidimensional like that can be very challenging to your understanding of reality and of yourself. So we do these live Zoom groups so that people can get together and talk about their experiences. So I encourage you to go to thunderwizard.com, click on memberships, and scroll around if you want to be a part of that. The other thing that's good about those groups is that it allows us to create a new narrative. Because the reason why you feel you're crazy is because we have been programmed to believe certain things about ourselves, our reality, and our relationship to our reality. And when you actually break out of the third dimensional video game and you go into other dimensions, even on an astral level, you find out that everything is completely opposite what you've been programmed to believe just by living in the third dimension. Forget about what you've been taught. Just by living in the third dimension, you start coming to conclusions about yourself and about objective reality that simply aren't true. It would be as if you got trapped. It's exactly like if you got trapped into a video game and all of the rules of the video game were the only thing you experienced, and so you just come to the conclusion that that's reality. Imagine you get trapped in the video game World of Warcraft. If that becomes your entire reality, and then you break out of that reality and you tap into the third dimensional reality, it's going to be very different. So the realities beyond our third dimension are absolutely 100% beyond our understanding, and the stuff that we do understand, it's 100% opposite. This world is an upside down bizarro world. So anyway, I encourage you to check that out. All right, so let's talk about the meditation that happened last night, this one. All right, so as I said before the meditation, some very powerful light beings showed up and they wanted to talk, and they told me that they were going to take me to their realm, and they were going to show me some things, and I didn't know what else. I didn't quite understand what they were trying to tell me. So that's what happened. If you see the meditation, you know, going into it, I don't know what the heck we're going to do, but whatever it is, let's see what happens. And from the very beginning, let's see, what I remember is that as we were doing the Hool breath, that's usually when I first start getting the downloads, is when we do the Hool breath. I do that, I'll tell you why I do that. I do that so that I can get a connection and get a download on where to go, who I'm dealing with. You know, something will come into my mind, and I'll get an idea of what to do next. So as we were doing the Hool breath, I got the impression that there was a big spaceship out there. So I decided that we would do the typical CE5, at least the beginnings of the protocol, which is to imagine yourself coming out of your body, going up through Earth's atmosphere out into interplanetary space. And so we did that, and then what I remember is being invited onto this enormous ship. And again, I don't see things, you know, people, if you're like me, you don't see a lot of things. You might see little etch-a-sketch kind of shadows of things, but you get impressions or feelings. So that's really what was happening. But I got the sense that we were inside some huge saucer-like craft, like enormous. And we were put into some chair, and then we were taken off through a wormhole to other dimensions. And I wish I could remember what happened after that. We got one of the things I remember is that I became aware that the whole perception that they had a spacecraft and we were in it was actually not what was going on, that they weren't actually physical ET beings, that they were non-physical light beings that were giving us something that we could understand, so that then they could transport us wherever they were going to take us. And I don't remember a lot of what happened. Huge amount of energy coming out of my third eye, and they were giving us energy upgrades, and I remember them asking, do you want more? I think they asked, do you want more energy? And then at one point there was this bright white light, and it started rotating counterclockwise and turned like different colors, and then shooting like this laser right into my third eye, which went to my pineal gland and started empowering that. So there was some back and forth that I don't remember. Maybe you can remember what was said. Please put it in the comments, what you heard, what you said, what they told you. And then after what felt like quite a while of getting a huge energy upgrade, my intention was to come back into 3D reality and then end the meditation, and that's not what happened. We went a little longer than normal, and we got back into 3D Earth orbit, and first thing I remember was that we were sending Earth the energy to simply wake up. And the feeling that I had was I felt so much power, but it wasn't like an intensity. It was very calm, but it was just sort of like I could just simply intend anything and it would be a fact. And so I started sending energy to Earth to wake people up, and that's what was going to happen. That was a fact. It was just the Earth, people on Earth were going to begin to awaken. And then I felt the need to go over Washington, D.C., and then I became aware that underneath Washington, D.C., there was a huge underground tunnel system, and that's where the real government was underneath in the tunnels. And so we sent some energy down there to, help to, and the feeling was that they were going to tell the truth. And that's it. There's just no discussion. You will now reveal the truth to people. You will stop lying. And then I felt myself go over to Zurich, came to mind. So I went over and floated over Zurich. And then I became aware that in that meditation that Zurich had a tremendously dark, just horrifically dark, evil energy underneath the city. And so we spent some time and some energy sending energy down in there, and it was more like like a laser beam to just destroy like a cancer cell. So we were destroying all of that, and that left this big open crater underneath the city. So then we sent some healing energy. And then, and by the way, this whole time I'm like wanting to end the meditation because I can tell it's getting to that point, but there was more work to do. So these aren't things that you have to understand. These meditations aren't things that I think about, and it's not like I'm writing some fantasy novel and then I'm guiding you through it. There's lots of guided meditations. I know, I used to make them a long time ago. You write out this fantasy and then you guide people through it, and that's all it is. It's just some kind of new agey fantasy. That's not what's happening when I'm doing these meditations. Lots of times, these are things that are coming to my mind that I'm not really aware of or comfortable with, but I go along with it and I do it. I allow my imagination to get involved, but these aren't things that would normally come to my mind. Sometimes I feel kind of silly doing them, if I'm being honest. Anyway, so we went, after Zurich, we went over to London, and I had this experience of people in the UK were being really controlled and censored, and the feeling was like it was saran wrap that had been pulled over, and people are suffocating trying to breathe, meaning they're trying to express themselves. And so sent some energy to relieve them. And then I became aware of this feeling that the UK, that the island of Britain was a very energetically powerful place. Of course, I'm not the first person to come up with that idea, but I got the feeling the Druids and the people before the Druids really understood the power of that island, and that the whole idea of people needing to conquer that island off of Europe was because of the spiritual power. And then it became apparent to me, how does this tiny little island nation become, the most powerful empire on the planet? Well, it's because they were on top of this very powerful spiritual place. And so people have wanted to live there, whether knowingly or unknowingly, in order to tap into that energy and use it. So I sort of kind of look forward into the future of getting rid of the false narrative and the false governments, and allow that place to return to its true power, spiritual power, and help the world. So that was all of those things, and then I came back to Earth, and I can't remember what we did after that. I was starting to lose it. At one point I remember thinking I don't really feel like leaving. I think that was a little early on. I could stay here forever. But I think by the end of the meditation, I was starting to run out of steam. So much energy was going through me. And we came back and ended it. So it didn't stop there. The meditation was very powerful, and took me a while to come down off of it. And then I went to bed kind of late. And I woke up and I just felt like I felt tired. I felt like I had run a marathon the day before. My body felt really drained. And so over the day that got better, and those same beings showed up and they came back. And I don't really know what was going on other than I could feel their energy. And just a little while ago, I was extremely emotional because I could feel their emotions. And they, whatever we did in that meditation had a huge impact on a lot of things, and it made them very happy. And one of the things I remember when we came back into Earth's atmosphere after being in that other dimension, the first thing that I became aware of was that all of the ETs that are, around Earth were like looking at us. They were extremely, extremely interested in looking at us, and that the feeling I got is that we had brought back some incredibly powerful energy that they'd never seen before, and they were kind of starstruck with how powerful we were and all of that. So that was an interesting experience. But that's what's showed up a few times today, is that there's been some light beings that have shown up and said, "Can we talk?" And I say yes, and they say, "Do you have any idea what you accomplished last night?" It's hard for me to understand, the things that they try and talk about, but something to the effect of, you changed us, and you changed our world, and we've never seen anybody do the kinds of things that you people are doing in these meditations. We've never seen anything like that. I've gotten used to that. I'm jaded by it, I'll be honest with you. And, the way that I deal with this, again, if you think that I get off on this and that there's some ego boost from me doing it, there isn't. The way that I have learned to deal with these experiences is I take everything that I believe I'm being shown and told, I take it at face value. I don't resist anything that I believe I'm being told. And of course, the only things that they tell me are very loving things or really fantastical things about, you're the God that created the universe. That's the kind of the way that they talk to me. So I take it at face value. I accept it. I don't minimize it. I don't try and argue with it. I say yes, thank you. I'll repeat it back to them. It makes them very happy when I do that. And then when the meditation is over and my mind wants to try and figure out what the hell are you insane? Are you delusional? Are you making this up? Is this real? Or when the reality starts to hit me that this is the video game that we're living in and out there is the real world, what I do is I do not try and figure it out. I don't try and figure it out. And so that's what's kept me sane. It allows me to expand into the identity that I'm awakening into, and it allows me to stay human. And I don't have to understand it. In fact, it doesn't make any sense that I would understand it any more than a two-dimensional person would understand up and down. They only live in a flat plane. There's no such thing as up and down. So trying to explain it to them is a waste of time. They don't have the ability to understand it. So in my human self, I don't have the ability to comprehend whatever it is that's happening out there. And so I just accept it. Interesting thing though, the meditation, the theme of it was destroying negativity, destroying the false narrative, and destroying the false dark forces. An interesting thing today, there was a lot of information coming out on social media. In fact, there was some big news conference thing having to do with people. I'm not going to get specific about a certain list, and people coming out about that, and a a lot of other things came out. It seemed to happen overnight. So I find that to be an interesting coincidence that when we do these meditations, sometimes the very next day, the theme of what we just meditated on will explode all over, the world. So anyway, I hope that that you had a good time in that meditation. Please put your experience in the comments section, and I would love to hear about it. So I want you to know that one of the things that allows me to be able to handle these energies is I am doing the Maoshan spirit fighting practices. I highly recommend them. I'm speaking right now directly to the people who only watch the channel and don't do any exercises except for maybe the interdimensional meditation. If that's all you're doing, I'm glad that you're here, but you are missing out on 90% of the power that has been channeled to me. And I am not hyperbolizing when I talk about how powerful these exercises are and what they can do to your energy and to your consciousness. So the way to do it is you start out by going to the beginner mode. You just want to feel the energy and get an idea of what I'm talking about. You go to thunderwizard.com and you, where do you go? Yeah, you go to thunderwizard.com, click on shop. Okay, so on the menu where it says shop, click on shop. And then you'll see Summoning the Immortals. Everybody can afford that. If you can't, you're homeless. And if you're homeless, then you've got bigger problems than what you can and cannot buy online. So get the Summoning the Immortals and start with that if you're brand new. You can also do right next to it the Celestial Qigong. Those two are the most simple, and they will get you directly connected to this 6D higher dimensional energy. Again, I need to make a video on how I know that it's 6 dimensional or higher. All right, so that's how you get started. And of course, going to thunderwizard.com, you can go to the, wait, what's going on here? I don't want that in front of me right now. So you can go to memberships and do the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. If you want to get real power, again, doing these steps, go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. You can get the 5 elements spirit fighting. Get all of them. Now, I've told people if you can only get one, get wood, because wood is the ether energy, which is basic life force energy, even though it's a higher frequency of it. So that's okay. But once you go beyond that, you're going to need to get all the rest of them. So get metal, fire, water, and earth so you can balance all of that. Trust me, if you're able to get, you don't have to do it perfectly, but if you're able to get through them, you're going to feel a huge amount of energy. And then if you've done the 5 elements and or the first set, then go to Maoshan Level 1 instructional videos. Subscribe there. You'll get access to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong as well. But do not subscribe to the Maoshan Level 1 if you have not purchased all 5 of the Maoshan 5 elements. The first set, I'm giving up more information about the first set, the Hands of Infinity. So keep your eyes open for that. That will be on the actual page where you go to once you've got the set, the page that, the web page that I give you that has all the videos there. More information is coming. And then when we've got enough people, I'm going to move on to the second set and the third set and the Spirit Fist set. And I think the next one I'll do will be the Dark Warrior set, which is a powerful deity. And I think that'll be the next one that I make available to people. So if you have questions about it, let me know. But the point I'm trying to make is take advantage of these things. I've made smaller videos for people that don't want to spend all that money. You can get you can go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com and you'll see the butterfly sets, So those are little bits and pieces of the spirit fighting sets, just so you can feel how powerful they are. And the butterflies are very powerful. The butterfly hands, very, very powerful. So the point I'm trying to make is you've got to, these things are made available to you. Do not look, everybody's got to make a decision. Do you want to be poor, or do you want to have things in life? And the worst way to live is to want things that you feel like you cannot get for yourself. And I refuse to live like that. And I always end up getting what I want, because I make the decision that I'm going to have the resources to get everything that I want. So please don't give me excuses. I can't afford $55 a month. Just that excuse won't fly with me. There's just no reason. There's no reason for you not to make the decision to do something, to change your reality. If you're that poor, it means that that's what you're choosing for yourself. So I encourage you to do different. Also, the fastest way to grow is to work with me personally. You can do that by going to thunderwizard.com and looking at all of the ways that you can have, weekly or monthly sessions with me. You won't be able to talk yourself out of your craziness. You won't be able to talk yourself out of your poverty. You're gonna need a mentor. So take advantage of me while I'm still doing it. Because listen, when the moment comes that I don't need to do this stuff to survive, I'm gonna stop doing it. So you gotta, there's gonna come a time where I won't be available. And I won't have to make videos, and I won't have to do this stuff to survive. And then I'm just gonna do only what I want. So take advantage of me while I'm still here, and while I'm still, actively seeking to help people. All right? That's it for me, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon.